I am back to Vietnam, and today I'm gonna share a very special story with you. Hey, what's up guys, this is Marcel and I am back in Danang, and some of you might recognize the background here. This is the same background I had last year when I recorded a few of my videos, I think in October when I was in Danang, and I'm staying actually at the same room like before. They gave me the same room, which is actually a very nice room. It's cozy, it's cute, I really like it here. And but it's very hot at the moment, so I didn't even know that. I don't remember it being so hot. I was here last year in July and I don't remember being it so hot. I was in Nha Trang last year in July also, but I don't know, maybe it's a heat wave or something. It's 36 degrees every day. The weather is beautiful though, but it's very humid and very hot. The sun is burning. So this is just a quick update. Now, I went to Thuy the other day, a small city which is about 3 hours by train north of Danang. I took the train. You also can take a car. It takes you probably 1.5 hours or 2 hours. So I visited this city for the first time, and you should too. It's a very beautiful city. But the hotel I stayed at, very usual, normal local hotel, the Than Thien Hotel, the place where I stayed in this hotel, when I stayed there and I checked into my room, I found this, room directory. This is a folder which normally every hotel has in their room, where you can look up, information about the room, the city, hotel services and facilities and blah, blah, blah. So I was also looking up this folder. Normally I don't look up this folder. I don't check them out because I know what's in there. It's always the same boring information. I'm a chef. I've been working in the hospitality industry for now 30 years. Yeah, so I'm familiar with all that stuff. Anyway, while I was checking this folder and turning the pages, at the very end I found a story. The story, a personal story written by the hotel owner. And that was something very unusual, because I don't remember reading a personal story written by the hotel owner in a hotel room directory. Yeah, so of course I read the story and I found it so inspiring that today in this video I want to share the story with you. I will read the entire story. It will probably take between 5 and 10 minutes, I'm not sure. But I find it worth sharing because it's a Vietnamese story. It's kind of a Vietnamese success story, and rather than talking about Vietnamese people and what I think and what I feel about them, this is also what I do. And I like to share my thoughts and feelings about Vietnam and the people and everything. I rather today let this guy, this gentleman, Mr. Thuy, speak for himself. So I talked to the hotel staff yesterday when I checked out. So the story is about 10 years old. So he wrote it down about 10 years ago, and he is now 62 years old. Yeah, so he was born in I think 1961, or around when the Vietnam War and all that stuff started. So without further ado, I will now start to read the story. My story. My childhood was a succession of days living in fear because of the war, in great misery when losing a family member because of bombing, in great distress because of persistent poverty and starvation. I once witnessed the bombing site all around me. One summer afternoon, when my whole family was having dinner in the middle of the yard, a piece of about 20 centimeter bomb whooshed by. cutting my bicycle, my father's most precious property, into halves. Luckily, it didn't hit anyone. If not, someone's head might have fallen off. The biggest bomb exploded just around 100 meters from me, when I just had time to lie down on the ground to stay away from being injured. I didn't ever have a nice sleep at the time. Whenever we heard the warplane wailing above the sky, my whole family had to get up and climb down to the underground hideout, which was just some meters away from our beds and connected with another A-shaped hideout. My oldest sister died of being dragged over 10 kilometers by a tank connected with a barbed wire from her legs. At that night, our neighbors buried her without having time to untie the barbed wire. It wasn't until when we moved her remains after the Liberation Day that the wire was untied. My mother's close behind sister died of being bombed when she was working on the rice field. The distance between life and death was just within a hair's breadth. Someone died of being bombed just some minutes after talking and having fun with some other people. My parents, on seeing that the war made death become so easy, decided to have as many children as possible so that they still had some children left in case any of the children died. And the result was that they had up to 11 children. 10 of us have been so lucky to be alive until now. Deep in my memory, my parents had to move house no less than 10 times within 8 years in order to keep us safe. It would be quite exaggerated to call it a house, since it was set up with our neighbor's help just within 2 days, with a roof made from rice stubbles, the wall from bamboo stems mixed with rice straws, rice husks and clay. The war ended and we had to face starvation. Each of us, coming from a family with so many children, had to work to overcome the harsh life. I myself had to do a variety of work, such as keeping the buffaloes, gleaning rice, catching rice field scraps, making bricks, collecting thatch, firewood and kaju pot, making straw brooms, making tapioca from cassava, etc., etc. The hardest work and full of pain must have been making bricks while I was only at grade 7. I had to climb down to a very deep pit to carry big pieces of clay on shoulders and pile them up, from which I then had to make bricks one after one. Almost every day my back faced the blazing hot summer sunlight and I didn't ever know how much coal dust I inhaled into my lungs. The 3 years studying at high school fell into the deepest economic recession period of Vietnam, when the country was focusing on solving the war consequences. Staying more than 20 kilometers away from home for the study, I had only one shirt and one pair of trousers to wear for class. Whenever they were dirty, I had to stay all home to wash them and waited until they were dry to wear for going out. I was therefore aware from an early age that I needed to study to change my life and stay away from the persistent poverty. I did try to study very hard and was lucky to become one of the only 2 students from my high school who could pass the entrance examination to the Polytechnic University, where I took a program in construction. 5 years passed by, I graduated with a high distinction but refused the university's offer to stay as a lecturer, since teacher's life was also full of difficulties at that time. I went out to work and simultaneously learned English. There were not many people learning English and not many foreigners to Vietnam in the past time. I was just able to learn around 10 simple sentences for communication, within which I could use to ask or answer other people's questions. And I kept learning more sentences whenever I had been able to use fluently the old ones. The question that I very often used to ask whenever bumping into a foreigner was, "What do you think about Vietnamese people?" which was always responded as friendly, mean Than Thien. I was one of the 2 Vietnamese people who were lucky to be offered with a full scholarship for a business management course in Coventry in the United Kingdom. Everything went on with me like a dream, and I led a very happy life, taking the advantage of every minute to sense the life abroad, to acquire the knowledge of doing business and improve my English. During that time, only by queuing up at the bus stop or underground subway station could I sense and learn many things about the country's culture and modern civilization. I did obtain much knowledge of business administration, customer service, and know where customer satisfaction might come from. I also got to know many things in daily life, such as what a common British breakfast might include. I also could experience and understand why the Westerners pay much attention to reading culture and that they read anywhere at any time. Until now, I occasionally startle in surprise to find that my customers have better understanding and capture more information about our Than Thien friendly hotel from its website than I do, since they might have done more reading. In one beautiful afternoon, I was strolling along a street with my little lovely daughter. I saw a piece of land, small but with great potential for tourist development. It was so appealing to me that I had to use the term love at first sight to express my feeling when I first saw that piece of land. I bought it right away. And 5 years later, when its price went up 20 times, I was still very determined to refuse selling the land to other people when they wanted to purchase it. I thought, how could I give my lover away? With an amount of capital borrowed from bank, I set up my business with a 10-room hotel. I spent wakeful nights to consider how to have the highest number of rooms, which are still comfortably designed on such a small land area. It is also of great importance to think of the hotel's name, which should be comfortable to its owners' personalities, meaningful to the guests' liking, and easy for them to remember. I decided to name my hotel after one of Vietnamese people's characteristics, Than Thien, which means friendly. During the first 6 years business, there had always been a great number of guests in favor of our hotel, which made all the rooms occupied almost every time. However, I found it hard to develop the business with such a small hotel. I felt constrained from opportunities to manifest my business ability, but failed to do anything due to the restricted financial source. After some times, with the amount of capital saved from the business and borrowed from bank again, the hotel was upgraded and expanded to 30 well-equipped rooms with a system of elevator and restaurant. One more time, I spent sleepless nights for months to work out the most convenient hotel space and the best interior decoration within my limited financial condition. Guests have had complimentary remarks about my hotel, which makes me very happy since I have had full conditions to express my ability when applying the business administrative knowledge acquired from Europe into practice. I've thrown myself wholeheartedly into my work, days and nights, to design an online booking system, train the staff, and to find out the explanation for the customer satisfaction. It's not very likely that you will be as satisfied living in a 5-star hotel room of hundreds of dollars as living at our Than Thien Hotel of just several tens of dollars. Specifically, working out the explanation for Than Thien, which means friendly, together with the staff, we have spent years doing research on this, and we have always borne in our mind the meaning Than Thien, friendly, so as to express our character in the right way throughout our customer service. One principle all of our staff have to remember is that anyone losing money will regret their property and be unhappy. But they will be happy provided that they can receive good services. If at the same time their happiness is greater than their regret and unhappiness, then their happiness still remains. And that is the customer satisfaction. Therefore, we have always tried to provide our customers with the best services and receive the least possible amount of money to make them satisfied. As I have shared with you before, the prolonged poverty closely tied to my childhood. The unfading obsessions about the sorrowful pastime have always reminded me of doing something to rise from the poverty and change my life. I obtained business skills from the basis to MBA and improved my English by self-study during the 23 consecutive years. My English study was a very hard task without favorable conditions and environment for practice. Besides, I have the conception that the more people I can bring happiness to, the happier I will become, which can somewhat compensate for my miserable pastime. All of the above things have brought the idea of Tea and Talk program at Than Thien Hotel into real life, which can provide students with an environment to practice and improve their English speaking skills. Most Vietnamese students in general and in Thuy, students in particular, are as poor as I used to be. They therefore just need to drink tea and talk without having to pay anything else when participating in the program. At this time, I'm thankful to hundreds of guests of the hotel and other people who have registered for the Tea and Talk program to help Thuy students improve their English speaking skills so that they can have more opportunities to look for jobs in the future. I think that in this life, if you determine your life's objective, fan the flames of passion for work in whatever field it is, search for and apply the available sources of the humankind, work wholeheartedly, then you can achieve success. Simultaneously, if you can make something beneficial to the society, you will experience a happier and more meaningful life. This is my own story. I would like to express my heartfelt thanks for your time reading the story, for your understanding, sympathy and support for us. Than Thien Hotel, Mr. Thuy. So I will not comment on this story any further. I hope you stayed with me. It now is about 17 minutes into the video. I find it a great, inspiring story worth sharing. That's why I wanted to share the story here and I recorded this video. The story is self-speaking. Nothing more to say. Let it sink in and see if you can take something away from it. I love these stories and more people should share their own stories. I'm always advocating for this. I myself shared my story about 4 years ago when I released this story in my first book, which I have released in 2019. In this book I have written down my own personal story, how I became a chef, what made me think to become a chef, what was my motivation, and I also lined out my career and everything, all the ups, all the downs and everything. So I wanted to do it. I wanted to share my story because I also want to inspire other people. If you're interested in this book, you can find the link down below in the description box. Other than that, yeah, again, I am thanking Mr. Thuy for sharing his story. It's a Vietnamese success story, and you can see where he's coming from. He started with nothing. He is a child of war, basically, and then he just built his own little business, his own little success. I just sent him an email. Let's see if he is writing back to me. I would love to personally also meet him because I'm interested in his story. I'm interested in these kind of things, you know. So thanks for watching this video. Let me know what you think. Are you a Vietnamese business owner? Are you somebody who has also had similar experiences to share? Please share these stories with me. I want to learn about them. and or maybe your parents are a business owner, Vietnamese business owner, who also were born during war times or even experienced the war, and how did they reinvent their life? I think these stories are very inspiring. We can all learn from them, especially looking at my own history, the German history, where the Second World War, not only Germany, I mean many countries were affected, but definitely in Germany, every family, every German family today, still today, was affected by the Second World War. We all had casualties and so similar, I think it's with Vietnam, where this war in the 60s and the 70s did tremendous damage to the people, and we all know about it. And but it's interesting for me to see how these people picked themselves up when there was nobody who could pick them up, right? After such a big devastation and destruction. So thanks for watching, and I'm gonna see you in one of my next videos. Have a great day. Take care. Bye bye.